Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Macro Talk 2. It's Thursday, the 14th of November. It's nearly Thanksgiving, isn't it? Okay. Note to self. Today is part 2 of our Q&A week. Prompted just by needing to update a few things and get some feedback from you. On Tuesday we had a Q&A session, and I was asking some questions about the programming and what people were interested in, what they weren't interested in, and so on and so forth. And by and large, everybody seems to be pretty happy with the way we're doing things as far as the live streams. There is popular consensus that I should continue doing discussions on a topic rather than just going on like I sometimes do. So we're going to stick with that for now. There was some disagreement about whether or not we should get into areas adjacent to macro photography when I thought it would be interesting and useful. And there's no definitive answer on that. I think a lot of people want to hear it, a lot of people don't. So we'll play that one by ear as we go. I'm not going to ask too many questions today because I've got a lot of stuff I want to tell you about while your questions are coming in. I don't want Alistair to have to retype your questions, so I'll probably just read from the chat, seeing as this is a QA. But for the first few minutes, couple of announcements. On Saturday we have After Stack number 10 with Bud and I, and this week we're talking about the smart object. What is it? Why do we use it? Why is it important? And why does Alan ignore it? That'll be the topic for Saturday. Competition is underway. 3 entries, November, December combined, 2 judges, Lester Lefkowitz and myself. Possibly a third if Lester says he's okay with it. And then prizes are piling up. It's like, I feel a little bit like Santa probably does at this time of year when the drugstore starts sending him stuff to give out. I've got a stack of prizes now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a list together of all the sponsors who have donated prizes, except those who wanted them done anonymously. And I'll show you what all is out there to be won. I am trying to figure out how to do all that, but by the time we talk about it on Tuesday, I'll let you know how the prizes are going to be allotted. I've had an idea on that. I think, I'll tell you about it on Tuesday, but we've got so many cool things to tell you about. If you have a prize, by the way, if you have something you don't need or don't want, or something of value you'd like to donate, to be given as a prize during our bumper end-of-year mega wildcard competition, I just made that up, then let me know, and I will say yes. You will ask and I will say yes. Talking about saying yes, I asked on Tuesday if anybody was interested in buying one of the new objectives by the Sheboygan company, Shibuya, Chinese/Japanese company that's making a Mitutoyo clone. And there's been a lot of rumblings about it out there in macro world, but I haven't actually used one. I haven't seen one up close, and I don't know anybody who has. I also can't afford to just to buy one. So what I decided to do was ask if they'd lend me one, and they said they wouldn't. So the next plan was to just buy one. And then a friend of the show, a relative newcomer to our group, came forward and said, "Hey, I've got one, and you can borrow it to do a review," which is fantastic news. And he is from Greece, I believe. Am I right in saying that? Lakavos? That sounds Greek. And it might be Lakavos. I don't know. Can I just guess one of those for now? Correct me, and I'll do it right next time. But Lakavos, I prefer that one, is lending me, I think it's the 10X. It's a metallurgic objective. It looks a lot like a short version of the Mitutoyo. There are a few specs on their website that are a little concerning to me, primarily the field of view. I don't know if this is going to be as big a field of view as the Mitutoyo's. It's a much shorter lens, so we'll have to wait and see. But I'm excited about getting to review it, and I know a lot of you are interested. I mean, when you can when you can buy a lens that performs putatively as well as a Mitutoyo for a third to a half of the price, I think you'd probably be interested in that. And they also have some interesting magnifications: 2, 3.5, 5, 7, 10, 15, then 20, what is it, 50 and 100? I think so. They've got high resolution in the 50, 20, 50 and 100, I think. A broad selection. I am actually going to buy a couple of their bright field objectives to try out on my microscope, because I want to, and they're affordable, so I'll be trying them as well. So we'll probably do a whole review of the company. That will be fun. So that'll be coming up. And because Lacavos donated this lens for me to review, I'm going to show some of his pictures, because he's a great photographer, and that's the kind of thing that happens when you do something nice like that. Your pictures will show up on the live stream. So let me see if I can find them real quick. I just got them a minute ago. Now this is when I won't be able to find them. I'm going to show a video later on today as well that I think you might enjoy if you're into watching microbes die. I'll tell you about it in a minute, but it depends how the Q&A thing goes. Can't find his pictures. Hang on, they'll show up. Here they are. I mixed them in with a file of my pictures, which was not the way to do it. So where did it go? I wonder if I can open it from there. Nope, it won't open. Forget that. I'll get back to that in just a second. I think I know what happened. It opened up underneath this screen. So just give me a moment while I sort that out with the left side of my brain, and ask you for your questions. There were 2 questions on Thursday, on Tuesday, that I didn't get to see until the very end, that I'll answer now. One of them was just a question about the site and the channel, and it concerned the plog. The plog was something that I invented. It was a P-log, Patreon log. It was a special website where I was going to put postings for Patreon outside of Patreon. It didn't work out because we changed things shortly thereafter. Now I do a big post on my website, and I link everywhere to that. So the reason people cannot get onto the plog and there's nothing there when you do is there's nothing there. We're not using it anymore. It's inactive. So thank you for asking. I apologize for not making that clear. But you're getting, if you're a Patreon member, I am putting a post out once or twice a week that has all of that in it, plus a whole lot more other stuff that you wouldn't get anywhere else. So now you know. A question, it was more of a request, I think, for some content. Somebody was asking, I forget who, I apologize, I've got it written down somewhere, about LED conversions for use with fiber optics. So if you've got a fiber optic setup, say an old surgical fiber optic lamp that uses a quartz lamp, how can you convert that over to LED? Or how can you just mount a fiber optic cable onto an LED setup? That's a great topic for a DIY discussion, and talking about the whole concept of using fiber optic lighting. So we'll do that, and I registered that was asked, and I will definitely get to it. It should be very interesting, actually. So let me see if I can figure out why this picture did not open. It did. Okay, so these are lovely pictures of crystals that Lacavos took, presumably here lately, and I don't know what they are. A green one, we'll call that one a green one, and he also sent me a white one, which is kind of looks a bit more like a snowball. Now imagine if you were to lend me a lens to review, I could show your crystals as well. That would be a thing to aim for, I think. I don't know what these are. They look more like cough tablets of some kind. Hang on, pressed the wrong button there. They're a bit on the small side, and there's one more after this. They're lovely pictures, shot with the Leiwa, I believe, the wonderful 90. Oh, this is my favourite one of the lot. I don't know what it is. probably some kind of a sapphire growing in cauliflower. Very nice. Was that all of them, or was there another one? What's going to happen, by the way, if we don't get... Oh, no, there's one more. It's even prettier. If we don't get enough questions for me to be answering questions for the full time, what I am going to do is start talking about... Isn't that lovely? Beautiful. I'm going to start talking about my microscope and the pictures that I have been taking through my microscope, which are... Well, they're terrible, but I've only just started. Do you know it is difficult? That's my microscope. It's a bit wonky. Sorry, let me fix that. There we go. I put a television behind it. Nope. It's turned off. No, it's up there. So, I've been doing all kinds of things with it. I've set up a cross-polarization lighting system for it, where I've got some polarized lights from underneath, because it's an inverted scope, and use a second polarizer over the objective itself. And it has been taking some really fantastic pictures of things like portulaca seeds, which I may show later on. Okay, we need to get to the questions lest we run out of time, so I will be getting to them as soon as I find them. They're under this pile of crystals. How did they get there? All right, David Brown, a year ago I had messaged you that I'd gotten the owner of AK Diffusers to donate one of his custom-built diffusers as a prize for one of your contests. You did? Well, he got in touch with me and said that he would like me to review the AK diffuser, and I said I'd love to, and I sent him my address, and I never heard back from him. So, yeah, that's nice. I'm glad he offered. I'll reach out to him again and see. That would be a fantastic prize. We have got some fantastic prizes. I don't want to start saying what they are now, because I'll forget one and that will upset somebody, so I won't say any of them yet, but I will on Tuesday, I promise. So, Baconmeister, can you change the plug link on your website to your blog instead? There isn't a link from the homepage or menu direct to the blog. There is, and you know what? I changed it because somebody asked me to change it to articles and videos, because people couldn't find my articles and videos. So I did, and I'll change it back to blog. You're very right to ask that. Thank you. I've been meaning to do it for ages. It is right there on the home page. It's the third thing down on the menu, or the second thing across on the top, and that takes you to my all my blog posts, and there's lots of them and lots of photographs and all kinds of stuff in there. There's hundreds of them. So yeah, I will fix that today, Baconmeister. I do apologize. Joseph, are there any insects known for burning with especially interesting colors, other than just exploding better than others? Well, we don't actually do that. We don't set fire to insects. But it sounds like an idea for a video, though. Would you prefer that to talking about scanning electron microscopy? Because that's the alternative. We'll take a vote on that some other time. Okay, let me see. Iacovos strikis. Ah. Oh, that was... I beg your pardon. It's Iacovos. I had the wrong name. Sorry. You're probably thinking, well, this is the last time I lend him a lens. Oh, so you shot those with the 20x objective. They don't look like 20x. Are they really? Fantastic. All right. Tremendous. I can't wait. I've seen some pictures that were shot with these lenses, and they look pretty impressive. We just need to put it through its paces, neck to neck with a Mitutoyo, and see what we come up with. It's always exciting to do this, because there are companies that make super good products that aren't as expensive as others. And if this is the new leader in the field, yeah, it would be nice to know. If I test one of these lenses and it is good, then I will start getting some for me, and then I'll test them all as they come in. So this is a good way to get started. Fantastic. Great pictures, by the way. Callum Johnson, in regards to the Nikon Z105MC, what is the narrowest aperture you would be willing to use for a single image handheld out in the field? Well, it would depend on what I was trying to do. I would use it at 2.8. I mean, I don't frequently. For single shot images in the field, I usually try to get a little bit more depth, but I would not hesitate to use 2.8 for a tiny insect if I had an interesting background that I wanted to blur out for background. The lens is so capable. There really isn't anything significant by way of aberrations that creep in at 2.8. I would use it at 2.8. I use it at 2.8 in the studio too. So it's sharpest about 8, which is a great F number for me in the field. I love that lens. It's absolutely gorgeous, and it's light. So whether I was using flash or not, I would prefer to shoot a little bit tighter aperture, but would certainly shoot at f2.8. Let me see. Leica seems to have cameras with a sensible amount of functions to switch off. Okay, they are not cheap, but is flash available? MF12. Is flash availability an issue? Okay, let me see if I understand the question. Is flash availability a problem with Leica? No, it's not. I think everybody who makes flashes make a copy for Leica and double the price just because people with Leicas will buy it. I have never noticed that Leicas are problematic, and they always seem to be one of the first mounts people come up with when they put out a new third-party lens. So I don't know about flashes, and I can't give you a definitive. Maybe somebody else in the audience can, but yeah, I have a Leica microscope, but I'll never own a Leica camera, I don't think. Not really my style. They make a big one that looks fairly handy, but I've never used it. All right, let's see, David. Also on government deals, there is a listing for a $50 auction with some lenses and an R1 macro flash setup. Oh, thank you very much for telling everybody in the world now that they know about it. You should have just called me on that one. I will bid on a Nikon R1. That's the R1 is the flash part of the R1C1, which is the close-up MF12 type flashes for Nikon. And Susan Seaford lent me hers, and they are absolutely fantastic. I love them. They're great. And there is an auction on government deals. And yeah, I know what I'm doing this afternoon. I won't know what that note means, but there you go. Thanks, David. I appreciate it. Paul Daly. Oh, Paul has reminded me to tell you something. The bellows are in the mail. Fantastic. We're going to be doing a review of a very strange set of tilt-shift bellows that look intriguing and very interesting for controlling depth of field. So we'll be talking about that. But Paul had asked if I'd send him a lens hood, which was a very reasonable request. But I redesigned it because there were a couple of things about it I would like to have seen on it. And I am going to show you my new version. And because it's the way we do things, I've posted this, or will post this, over on Discord so that you can make one if you wish. So here it is. The difference, 4 differences between this and the standard Mitutoyo lens hood for your macro. The first is there's only half of it. That's just because it's cut in half. Don't worry about it. It's really whole. It has a thingy-majig at the bottom, so you can grab it and pull it off without not losing a fingernail type thing. That was the first thing I wanted to add. The second was this baffle on the inside, which doesn't affect the optics, but it allows the lens to actually seat against this so that you can reference these little bumps on the outside to know where your lens ends. So you can do measurements of your rig without having to take the cap on and off. The last thing I did, and I don't know if it'll make any difference, was I brought the aperture to a very fine point so that there was less material for internal reflections and bouncing around of the light, which when you have a flat surface on the inside I thought might be a problem. So that's the new one. Doesn't cost anything. You can just print it off on your printer. It takes a few minutes. I'll show you one. They are absolutely the cutest things I have ever made. Tell me that you did see that. I hope that I was properly sharing that. I think I was. Yes. Okay, good. Here it is. There's what it looks like. Isn't it a thing of beauty? Not on the inside, it's not, because my supports were. It's hard to get them out. But yeah, Paul, you have two of these on their way to you. So yeah, if you want one, just go over to Discord and go to the 3D place, and they'll be there for you to download and print yourself, or get somebody else to print. Fun. That only took me a few minutes to make that. I'm getting better at Fusion 360. I love that program. I can't get rid of it though. There it is. Now it's gone. Okay, so David, you messaged me so I'd remember. Thank you. Thank you. What is the ideal infinity space between a Raynox 150 and the reverse couple with a Mitutoyo 05? I use, with that particular setup, a much longer infinity space than most people do. My experience has been to use either a very short or a very reasonable length. I use about 60 to 70 millimeters. You get much further than that and it'll start to vignette. If you get closer than that, I would have loss of contrast from internal reflections unless I got it all the way back on the lens. But with the Raynox, I don't like that. It works much better getting it right the way back onto the lens with the ITL 200, but still not ideal. So with the ITL, I use 60 millimeters as well. With a camera lens, especially the Nikon Micro Nikkor 200 f4, I put it right on the lens. So I use one of the RAF adapters. They're 62 to M26 Mitutoyo adapter made for these objectives, and it puts the rear element of the objective millimeters away from the glass, and it is the ideal setting for me. I absolutely love using the Micro Nikkor as a relay lens. It's very, very good. So with lenses, I want the minimum space. With relay lenses, tube lenses, I stretch it out to about 60. It all depends what works for you. All right, so that was good. We covered a lot of stuff there. Roy, what? Oh, that was what I just answered, so I won't ask that again. What tilt-shift bellows are you reviewing? Says Joseph, knowing that I wouldn't remember the name of this tilt-shift bellows. I have a feeling that that Paul will probably tell you in just a second here. It's not one I'm familiar with. I had never seen them until he sent me the picture, and they look absolutely fantastic. Paul, would you tell the man what it is? I'd appreciate it. And Bud says he ended up tapering the edge of the baffle to avoid any reflection. Yeah. Okay, good. But then you did what I just did, basically. Okay, good. Excellent. And Black 4.0 works for the inside. I used a very matte fiber filament for my 3D printing, which has become my absolute favorite filament. I use it for most things, and it does have a slight reflective surface in it, so it is worth painting with the black paint, 3.0 or 4.0, whatever you have. Excellent, very, very good. Joseph says nah, for some reason, and he follows that with he was hoping for a Sweebo. No, it's fancier than that too. What is it, Paul? Help me here, help me. It's a Kenlock tilt shift. There you go. It's from Hanoi, which is somewhere in Illinois, I think. Not really. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about, using tilt shift bellows. It's something that I would not hesitate to use had I owned one in product photography, doing that kind of stuff. It's wonderful if you don't want to stack, but you want to extend your depth of field just a little bit. You can do so by aligning your sensor with the area of interest on your subject, so that you get the depth of field where it all matters instead of it's cutting across at an angle. That make any sense? Did you want to hear about the video? You know what I could do? I could actually show the video while I answer the questions, because it's very long and it doesn't have any music or anything going on. I haven't edited it. It's just really disturbing. I got some water out of a wheelbarrow that's sitting out in the garden, and it was oh, I've still got it. It was disgusting looking stuff. And I put a few drops on a slide and put a cover slip on, and I was looking at it yesterday, and I was struck by the fact that at 400 times magnification I could see these little creatures appeared to be running across the slide and jumping off the edge. Now obviously that type of lemming behavior isn't normal, and it's probably just an artifact of the way the video made it look that way. So after talking about it for a while and showing some of the shots to my friend Rick Littlefield, I shot another video last night, very late. I did the same thing, and I recorded this one, and I thought you might like to see it, because I think it's positively the weirdest thing I've ever seen. Now, whether or not a video will play without absolutely destroying, where is it though? I know where it is. If this will play without cutting me off, then we'll try. Okay, but if we cut off, I'll just figure out a way to come back. But it's opening now. It's not doing a very good job of it. As soon as it opens, I'll switch the screens. Oh, it is working. All right. Here it is, guys. This is, I tell you what it was, if I knew, but I don't. This was at 400 power, and I'm looking straight down on the slide, and there are these legions of little things that appear to have flagellae, but they almost look like they've got legs, which they obviously don't. But look at them all in droves running in the same direction across the desert. And yeah, I could not take my eyes off of this, and I just followed them around and until they get to the edge, and that's when it gets really interesting. And maybe somebody out there has knowledge of these microbes and can tell me what they are and why they're doing this, and more importantly, why they come to the grisly end that they come to at the end of the video. There's a crashed aeroplane in the top from another thing. Okay, so they get to the edge of the cover slip and they just go barreling over, like without even so much as slowing down. It's probably because they don't have brains, is my guess. But this had just an absolutely distressing effect on me watching this last night. They were just, yeah. Sorry about the it gets much better than this after I figure out where the different focal planes are. I was trying to figure out where the slide ended, and I don't know what's down there next to the cover slip. It's just a clean slide, but in a moment I'll start going up the edge of the cover slip, and you'll see it gets way more impressive as more of these things show up. I'm not going to risk fast forwarding it because it'll just this was me getting used to the microscope. Bear with me. Notice as we go up the slide that you'll see areas where there appears to be an amorphous jelly-like mass down in the crevice of this thing, and it diffracts the light and it sprays a kind of rainbow-looking thing out to the right side. And watch, there are about 6 or 7 of them, and there's one at the bottom of the screen there now, right there. But watch, because they become very important later in the video. So I'm going to answer questions. Trouble is, I've got them all covered up by the video. So I tell you what, I'm going to look in Telegram while while you're doing that. I'm afraid if I click on this it will shut the video down. Anyway, here we go. You've got to admit this is a pretty good picture for just having got the microscope and figuring everything out. I'm using a type of contrast enhancement for this video called Hoffman modulation contrast, which uses a kind of differential polarization across the objective, and a strange objective with part of it blacked out, so that it creates shadows where shadows don't exist, and it makes very compelling three-dimensional images. Oh, I know what that sound is now. Sorry about that. That was me opening a bag of crisps for my dinner. I was looking around wondering what that terrible noise was here in the studio. But anyway, the Hoffman differential contrast is very, very effective. It's like phase contrast, but it's a bit complicated to set up. But once I got it set up and could keep the thing in focus, the effect of three-dimensionality was pretty impressive. Anyway, we start moving up in a minute. You can see one of those rainbow things right there in the middle. And then I didn't pay any attention to them until I went back and looked at it. But how many of these things do you suppose there'd be in a drop of water? Because I must have seen 500,000 of them plunged to presumably to their deaths. What you're going to want to watch for is what happens to them when they run over one of the blobs next to the rainbow light pattern. And look away if you're squeamish. This is compelling video. I think it could have been in the movies making videos. Probably not. But anyway, we go on up there a bit further. There's another of the blobs. And look down in the crevice where you see the rainbow, and you'll see the blobby thing I'm talking about. Somebody must know what this is. I can't wait to see the comments. There's another of the rainbows in the middle of the screen there. The last thing I'll say, and I'll just leave you to enjoy this while I answer questions, is when these little things run across the thing by the rainbow, they are snapped into stillness and then pulled towards what looks like a vacuole that opens up and swallows them. It's awful, because you can tell when they're wandering right at it and that they're going to get eaten. They don't seem to miss a beat, these. There's another one in the middle. Somebody must know what these are. I thought they were amoebae, but Rick didn't think they were amoebas. Of course, he hadn't seen this video. So, all right. If this stops, I'll come back up and start it, but I've got to get the questions from here. So, all right, good. I did it, and it didn't stop. But it did turn off my channel. There we go. All right. Here we are. Grab me a question, Alistair, because everybody can't be just stuck to the screen watching this. Welcome, Bud. Glad you made it. So, yeah, does this make you want to get a microscope and start videoing through it? I can't get enough of this. It's absolutely amazing. And this isn't even what I've mostly been doing with it. But I'm going out today as soon as we get done with the live stream to get some pond scum and other standing water, because I want to see if there are more of these dramas unfolding. When we get to 9 minutes, Alistair Ogilvy says, with 10.5 millimeter long working distance, what depth of focus can you achieve? Hang on, with a long working distance 10.5 millimeter objective, you're talking probably about a 10x, like the 10x Nikon is 10.5. What depth of focus can you achieve? Well, it's 7 or 8 microns, not millimeters. It's probably about 8 to 12 microns would be a step length I'd use. at 10. So it's not very much. All right. The gruesome bit hasn't started yet, but all right, we're nearly there. They look like sheep, don't they? Yeah, it's a disturbing image if you like sheep. I don't know what that the apparent blowing of those currents are, where you see them streaming over the left. I don't know what that is. There shouldn't be anything moving along there. That's the slide. When you're shooting, by the way, with an inverted microscope, you're looking up through a slide. So the objectives have a correction turret on them, a collar on the turret that you turn, and it changes the length of the objective. And that's important for the Hoffman differential contrast to work. So you twist it and set it to a number that corresponds to the thickness of the slide you're shooting through before you get to what you're interested in. And that's one of the many settings that you have to do to get this tuned up, as well as aligning all of the optical components. But when you do, it's pretty remarkable. Okay, so this is the bit. This is the bit that I wasn't crazy about. All right, there's the thing at the in the middle of the screen now, towards the bottom third. Watch what happens when the things wander over any part of it. It grabs them right there and pulls them back towards the center of this mass. And this thing is moving, this big blobby thing. Some of them seem to be smart enough to go the other way, but others walk right into it. And yeah. Does anybody out there know what this is? Did you know that you can use infinity lenses as regular finite lenses? Well, you can. Yeah, you can, sort of. I mean, they don't perform very well as regular lenses, because I mean, it is a lens. It's gonna form an image, but I mean, what you're the point of using the infinity system is so that you can have that that infinity space for adding components, but it is still a different lens than a finite lens. The finite lenses are, of course, designed to focus an image at a specified distance, which these infinity lenses are not. So keep watching. A few more are going to come down. And oh, here's a little one that goes straight down. Oh, no. Did he change his mind? If they climb up on that blob in the middle, then they're done for. It's almost as if they hesitate when they get to it, knowing that this is not the right way to go. But anyway, I'd love to know what these things are. How deep a focus stack can you achieve? Well, as you can achieve as deep a focus stack as you like. I mean, as long as you can keep taking pictures. I mean, you wouldn't want to. I mean, it would be impossible to make the thing look any good if it was too deep. It's a matter of how you compose the picture, but there's no theoretical limit to how far you could go. As far as well, your rail, I guess, would limit your how far you could move the lens. But that would be tens of thousands of images to focus stack a train in microscopic detail. But okay, let me see. If you're ready, I can turn this off. If anybody wants a copy of this, I'll be happy to post it. Look at, just watch this last one get trapped. Bang! There he goes. Do you see that there at the end when he gets sucked towards that hole? Oof! Awful. Got to stop watching it. All right, I'm going to minimize this window for now. Actually, it's about done, and I was getting nauseated from watching all that death and destruction and mayhem. So what do you think? Does anybody know what that is? What those things are, or what the things that were eating them are? Don't know. Joseph, David Brown asks, Joseph, I can only think of the Nikon PB4 that has tilt and shift. Well, it doesn't. It has tilt. It doesn't have shift. You can tilt the forward standard on the PB4. That's the only thing I like about the PB4. It's not as well made as the 6, I don't think. All right, so let me see. Like a... Hang on. Cool piece of kit, full 5 degrees of freedom, tilt, swing, rise, shift and draw on the front and rear standards. Okay, very exciting, interested, can't wait to get it. And Larry says, to those who are asking about a link to the blog on the website, the link to the blog is labeled articles and videos. Correct, and I was just going to change that today, Larry, so that people can find it. I should have done it a long time ago. You might need to reduce the amount of water under the cover slip with a tissue. Possibly compression of the cover slip, forcing liquid out, carrying the microorganisms with it. That's the first thing I thought of. So what I did was I put a piece of tissue on the other side and drew out basically all the water I could see, and which wasn't much. I mean, I only put a tiny drop under each slide, under each cover slip, and they kept going the other way the whole time. But I didn't know if they were being drawn up a chemical gradient towards oxygen or what. But what do you think the blobs were? All right. Michelle, I've been trying at 20x but not having any luck finding anything alive. Yeah, I did. I found a spinning flatulent paramecium that I also filmed, but I'm editing that one to music because it's so funny. And yeah, so the trick is get really fresh filthy water. Get stuff right out of the stream if you want to look for diatoms, and you'll find it if you just keep looking. I found that if there's weed and detritus in the water, that's where all the fun stuff is. Parameciums will be hanging off, not parameciums, hydras. Those ones hang off the bit blades of grass. You'll find them if you look. I want to find some testate amoebas. My friend Charlie Krebs was showing pictures last night that he took of testate amoebas, a single-celled creature that lives in a shell that it builds. It's only one cell, but it builds a little house. And he was taking, what's it called, cross-polarized photographs of the shells at some ridiculously high magnification, and they're birefringent. So these little amoebas live in a multicolored shell that's absolutely beautiful. So I need to go find some of them and try that experiment. So if anybody want to come with me, it's pouring with rain and freezing cold here, so that's what we're going to do. Stick with it, Michelle. You will find stuff if you keep looking. If you put a few flakes of wallpaper paste powder in your water, it makes the water, it's still translucent, but they can't swim very well in it, and it slows everything down and you're more likely to see them. It's probably pretty cruel too, but could it be a vortex of sweet fang? Probably it is. That sucks many to their deaths. I love that you can see some Brownian motion in these little particles. You can? I thought it was just noise. Don't forget the like button, says David Brown. L-rods, don't know what they are, but they are fascinating. I could not take my eyes off them last night. I'm serious. I was willing them to just stop running off the end of that thing. That's why I sucked the water out from the other side. But I'll try it again today with even less water. I am like a kid in a candy store since getting this microscope. I cannot stop looking at it and have taken so many pictures of basically anything I can get my hands on. Not very productive from a work point of view, but I can show some of the pictures if you want. The PB4 does have both tilt and shift on the front standard. My bad. I don't currently have one, but you're right, Joseph, I'm wrong. Most microorganisms don't usually move in a straight line. In the short time I've been observing, the particles organisms do seem to go underneath the larger debris. They see. Yeah, I didn't see that. That could be an effect of the Hoffman contrast. That could make things appear odd. That's one of the things I thought, but I actually shot them without that turned on, using just a straight objective. But I still don't know. I'm going to send it to a biologist and see what they think. All right. I think Michelle thinks she's finally found life. Could be. Or it could be just particles floating around. Too small for me to tell what it is, hoping it's a tardigrade. That is going to be what I look for next, because with this Hoffman differential interference thing, it's not differential interference, modulation contrast, you can see transparent organisms like tardigrades as if they are as dark as an elephant. It's a really clever system. I'm tempted to show you part of it. Should I do that? No, it's a bit risky because I'm supposed to be answering questions. I wanted to show you the filters that the light is channeled through. It's a slit with half of the slit covered with polarizing material. So depending on how you orient the slit, then what it does is it casts an area of dark, medium, and light across the whole field of view, and that makes shadows appear where there aren't any. It's artificial shadows. This Hoffman guy must not have had a job, because it would have taken hours to think of that and invent it, but it works like a charm. They don't make it anymore because DIC does it with a more sophisticated way and better. And of course, phase contrast is cheap and cheerful. I have a phase contrast 10x objective on the microscope, so I use both phase contrast and Hoffman modulation contrast. All right. So Brownian motion is literally a form of noise. Joseph pedantically corrects me once again. It is noise. Well, it could be noise if you had a signal that you were looking for in the noise. Something like that. All right. David Brown is not just noise. He's a nice guy. He's a good chap and a long-time supporter. So we won't let them gang up on you, Dave. And Michelle, I'm just using the Oregon. Okay. Well, you do have a microscope if you're using the Oregon. That's what it is. It's an unconventional microscope that you put a camera on. Are you using it vertically? That's the question I'd have. If you have it vertical and you've got good lighting with plenty of diffusion, you will find stuff. That is the microscope that I've been using until I got this. And a centrifuge is a good idea. I'm also looking for one. If anybody sees one in an auction, text me or call me or phone me or put a message somewhere. It'll be gone by then, won't it? I'm looking for a centrifuge, an electron microscope, just kidding about that, and a float lens. Ever since Joseph started talking about float lenses and I researched the ones that are available now, I've decided I want a Magiro, but they don't sell them anymore. Roy Walker, if the depth of field calculator suggests a step length of 28 microns, does it improve or degrade the image if you reduce the step length to, say, 15 or lower? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I have said in earlier videos, like years ago, 4 years ago, something like that, that I thought that there would be a possibility that you could get an oversampling error. That is something that can happen in other systems. It doesn't appreciably happen in this. In fact, I shoot at approximately half the suggested step length from the calculator. And I do that because, honestly, at high magnification, the pictures just look better. Now, this question was addressed, I think yesterday, Rick Littlefield addressed it in a group I was in, and he said that he believes that at high magnification, it helps get rid of the pseudo motion of very small parts of the image. Tiny contrasty parts of an image can appear to either move laterally or swell and shrink in subsequent frames if your step length is too long. I don't understand how that is or why it is, but I do know it seems to go away if you shoot enough pictures. So the higher the magnification, the more likely I am to shoot an even lower step length. But the answer to your question is no, absolutely shoot less than. I would avoid shooting more than, even though you can probably get away with it until you're 50% above what it says. I mean, it's all a matter of how close you're going to look and what your threshold for a softer image is. But if you're not even looking at them, but from a mile away, it doesn't matter. Just take 2 pictures and stack them. But if you're going to pixel peep like we all do, use more rather than less. All right, Nick, just sticking the pipette into the soaking moss and sucking up a bit. I hope you're talking about collecting tardigrades, yeah, I use the squeeze method, and it works because I haven't found a single tardigrade. So I guess I should try the centrifuge method. I like the idea of washing it first because I think that might knock them off their perch. They've got claws on their ends of their 8 arms and on their bottoms as well. They actually have a claw. Don't ask me why. Nope, above my pay grade. But that's part of the reason I want to photograph them. So, all right, it's on, Michelle. First one to get a legitimate tardigrade picture wins something. And your polarizing device. Do you want to see it, Michelle? This is what it looks like when it's in pieces, because part of it's missing. It'll look much better when it arrives, but it's almost done. Should have it to you soon. All right, questions. Yes, Michelle's using it vertical. I don't think the water would stay out the slide very well horizontal. You'd be surprised, it actually does. I used to do that quite a bit. Under a cover slip, the water does, and the organisms collect towards the bottom of it. And yeah, I did that because I didn't have any other way of doing it, but I was only 10 when I did it. All right, they sell centrifuges on Amazon. Really? I don't see me using an Amazon centrifuge, but maybe that's a thing. I was hoping to get like a $50,000 centrifuge for $8, which is kind of what I've been doing with these the auctions of late. I'll look on Amazon when we get through. Is anybody in this gathering feel like we need to change anything about live streams, interviews, videos? Is there anything that I'm not doing you want me to do? Anything I am doing that you want me to stop? Are you okay with the number and frequency of things, or do you want to see more of something else and less of the other? Just you've got 10 minutes. Just write it down. I will print all your comments off and I will look at them all. I didn't get anything on Tuesday that suggested to me there was a groundswell of interest in making any major changes. What prompted this whole question process was somebody had suggested that talking about electron microscopy was not a good idea, that it was a distraction from what I'm supposed to be doing here. And I wrote an article on my blog on Monday explaining why I disagree with that, why I think talking about electron microscopy, or for that matter, government surplus auctions, or any number of the things that I talk about, I talk about them because I think they are interesting and they are relevant to what we do. that it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm assuming that everybody is going to go out and buy an electron microscope. I would actually assume that nobody would ever touch an electron microscope. But that doesn't mean it isn't good information to have. And you know, I am of a mind that the process of learning is the goal in itself, and there's no such thing as wasted learning. And if you know more about, say, electron microscopy, you know what happens at the where our limits cut off. When the optical resolution doesn't allow you to magnify any further, you know what happens in an electron microscope. I think that would be fun. I think it would be fun to look at the pictures. I think it would be fun to visit the facilities, and I'll take one of you with me, and we'll make a video. I think all of that would be both fun and educational, and you never know, it could inspire somebody to get into the field. I've always wanted to do it, and if I can swing it, I will. The plan was to do a scanning electron microscopy image at one of these facilities once a month for a year, and we would tie it in with whatever we were looking at, be it a physical, a little micro machine, or an insect, or a soft-bodied thing, whatever it was we were studying. We'd include the SEM segment on that. So I still want to do it. I think it's valuable, and yeah, I'm not going to be put off by a few folks who don't think it would be valuable, you know, because you don't have to watch it if you don't want to. But I think if you do, you'll enjoy it. We'll make it fun. I'm all about learning. It doesn't matter what we're learning. If we're learning, we're expanding our experience, and that's kind of what it's all about. That's why I do this. If I wasn't learning something doing this, I wouldn't do it. And answering your questions is how I do that. That's what tells me what I need to learn. Okay, enough whining. All right, Iacobos, whose name has changed again because every time I read it, it appears to be spelled differently, has got to go. Thanks very much. I do appreciate it. Thank you for your generous offer to lend me the lens. I will review it as soon as I get it. In fact, I'm looking forward to that a lot. Roy Walk, it will not degrade the image to increase the overlap. No, it will not degrade the image. I mean, the overlap is, yeah, it won't. As many as you want. All right. Centrifuges. Curious Scientist. Welcome, Curious. Glad you made it. Those of you who don't know, Curious Scientist is he's next door, in the shop next door. He has Curious Scientist is his channel, and he teaches electronics, and he's taught me everything I know about Arduinos and writing code and making things like this that actually work. It's all thanks to Curious. Couldn't have done it without him. And he's got a great channel doing some fun stuff. If you're into that, check it out. Definitely. Okay. Let me see. Bud got his centrifuge for just $25 off eBay. That's my kind of price right there. Do the things fly out of it when you turn it on? Probably not. $25 is a lot. Too many insects, not enough watch innards. We can change that. Send me a watch, and we'll empty it on video. Yeah, we do need, you know, that is a good point. We have done lots of insect stuff this year, and I haven't done really any projects on some of the very cool micro machines and little gadgets that I know that, again, Rick Littlefield was doing a lot of stuff with LEDs this year, photographing them, and their structure is fascinating down at the microscopic level. That might be something that we could do. If you're interested, let me know. And yeah, and we could drag Rick into that maybe and get him to share some of his pictures. That would be cool. All right. I like this Q&A format. I understand normally having a topic, but doing this now and then is more fun, more interactive. I agree. I mean, it's more fun for me because I don't have to go study a textbook ahead of time. Well, I do actually, but we should do this. I had planned to do this once a month on each show, Macro Talk and Macro Talk 2. I thought once a month was a bit too frequent because I have a list of about 100 things I want to talk about. Yeah, I want to get to them before I die, so maybe once every 2 months, but we will do it again. I do like it too, and it's what we started out doing, but this is fun. All right. What would be a crime, Nick? Oh, to pass up the opportunity would almost be a crime. Yeah, well, it probably would. And let me see. And Roy Walker also likes the Q&A. Well, I'm glad. I honestly, I thought doing two in a week would be too much, but no, that's good. Well, thank you. Movement on your slide appears to be Brownian motion caused by evaporation. That could be true. I never thought about. I thought about the water getting squeezed out, but I didn't think about it getting sucked out. What's happening then to the bacteria or whatever they are when they get stuck on that blob and get yanked into a gaping vacuole on its surface? It's very strange. I don't know. All right. Nick, to Joseph, only because I ask yet to crack the conundrum of getting a decent picture of them. Of what, I wonder? What are you trying to photograph, Nick? Oh, you're exploding insects. I understand. I should just leave you guys to chat. I forget that you chat when I'm talking otherwise, so now I'm trying to follow it and I can't. All right. Diane's here. Greetings, Diane. And the electron microscope idea sounds fun too. I'll never have access to one, but there are a lot of very cool videos. You know, I said something. I'm going to make the last thing I'm going to say today is a correction, because I said something, it's just stupid, really, which is more common than you think. I was talking about, wherever it was, I think it was in one of these groups, about the limitations of microscopy across the whole range. That we have, light microscopes, the stereo binocular microscopes, low power, up to about 40, 50, something like that. Then our compound scopes, we can get up to maybe 1,000, a really nice one up to 1,500, 2,000 times. And then I said, electron microscopes, scanning electron microscopes will get you up to about 1 million times, and that a transmission scope can get you up to 20 million times, something absurdly ridiculous, photographing atoms. And then is when I said this stupid thing, that left a big gap between light and electrons, which is nonsense. You can take low power micrographs with electron microscopes. You can photograph the same stuff we photograph at the same resolution without color. There's just an imprint of the secondary electrons hitting the sensors, but you can absolutely image a fly's head, or a fly's body for that matter. So if you heard that and thought, oh, that's interesting that the electron microscopes can't get that low, they can. And yeah, see, I need to learn about electron microscopes, because clearly I'm making silly mistakes. Yeah, I really am hoping that goes off, because I think it'll be fun for everybody. What other projects have I got in the works? Lester Lefkowitz's second interview is going to be released the Monday or Tuesday probably after Thanksgiving, which is on sometime in November, right? A week or two away. So that's coming out. What else? I think that's everything. Larry's here. Larry, did you get my message about posting the lens hood? I may be able to do it now, but yeah, if you've already done it, I won't try. Oh, Alistair posted Curious's link to his channel. Go check it out, everybody. And Joseph doesn't think Nick wants insects to explode. Good. All right. I don't want insects to explode either. I like insects, most of them. All right, guys. Then we are going to call it. What time is it? Oh, it's 3:01. They're going to cut the power off in just a minute. So I've got to get back to building Michelle's polarizer, and I will see you guys on Saturday after Stack with Bud. Thank you, Bud, for your help. Alistair, thank you for your help. And if anybody sees Amy, thank her for being Amy. And thank you to Avacos. That's not right either, is it? Okay, all right. Well, thank you anyway for the loan of the lens. Cannot wait to review that. The Mitutoyo lens hood is up at the WallsApp 3D printing site and in Discord. Larry, you are the best. Thank you. I appreciate it. What did you think of the design, by the way? Oh, you didn't like it. Okay, well, I had to ask. Why wouldn't anybody want to see insects exploding? I think that can be our last comment for the day. Thank you, Joseph, for that. I'll see you guys on Saturday or Tuesday or Thursday. Or whenever.